Rams house, we have got some massive breaking news on today's episode of the Rams Report by Chat Sports. Trent McDuffie and the Los Angeles Rams have reached an agreement on a record-breaking contract extension. We're going to talk details of the deal and what McDuffie means for this defense, not just in 2026, but for the long term now. Let's get right into it. So, breaking news, like I said, less than an hour before me and Colin raced in and hopped in the studio to get this video out to you guys. Adam Schefter tweeted this out. ESPN sources, Rams and Trent McDuffie reached agreement today on a record 4-year, $124 million extension that includes a whopping $100 million guaranteed. I believe that is the most ever guaranteed to a corner at signing as well, and makes him the highest paid corner in NFL history in terms of average annual for his salary. McDuffie gets a trade and a new deal days apart as the Rams and CAA Football finalize the agreement. Little agency buff at the end as well. And I won't lie to you guys, we kind of knew this was coming. If you're one of our real ones, I put out a short earlier today warning you guys that the extension might be coming very soon because of this report from Mike Garafolo. He said the hashtag Rams have made significant progress on a contract extension with their new corner Trent McDuffie, and the hope is a deal is done in the near future. Sources tell me and Ian Rappaport. Trent McDuffie is expected to be the new highest paid corner at over $30 million per season. But again, none of that a huge surprise. This is something we've been talking about for a while here on the Rams Report. We just didn't know it was coming today until this report, which pretty much confirmed it. And now it's happened, and immediately we have a video out for you guys because that's what we do around here. We cover all the Rams news as it happens. If there's anything around this team, we make a video for you guys because we love talking about this team and we love hanging out with y'all. So if you like the Rams, if you love hearing about Rams news, if you love breaking down Rams football, make sure you lock in with us and subscribe because there is a lot of Rams news coming over the next week. Free agency kicks off tomorrow with the beginning of the legal tampering window. You're going to start hearing announcements of deals. We will have videos on anything that the Rams do over the next couple of days as free agency gets going. So it's a great time to lock in with us and make sure you don't miss a minute. But let's talk about the details of the deal. We broke it down a little bit here, but once again, 4-year extension, $124 million in total value. This is a little bit more than I had thought. I was thinking he was going to get $30.5 million. He comes in at $31 million. So again, I mean, it's about in the ballpark, I think you could say. My only concern with this extension really was that they would go way overboard and massively overpay him, and I don't feel like they did that. The guarantees are very strong here. We kind of knew that was going to be the case, but you compare to the other corners on this highest paid corners list, yes, he's the highest paid one. Obviously, he gets what he and his camp wanted, which is that record-breaking deal, but it's not by enormous margins. $900,000 more than Sauce Gardner does at number 2. Good $1 million more than Derek Stingley. Good $6 million more than J.C. Horn, although that mark had been blown out of the water for a good while. Money's been going up for the corners over the last year at a pretty steady rate, but I feel like overall the Rams get a solid deal done here. I think you guys are going to see this number get knocked out of the park by Christian Gonzalez very, very soon, and we're going to see corners continue to rise. So I think over the next couple of years, it's going to look like a really, really smart extension, and I think he is absolutely worth it for this defense because this is exactly what we needed. The trade brought us in exactly what we needed in terms of a piece for this defense for 2026. The extension makes him a piece for the long term, an anchor for this defense. That's something I've been calling him since the trade has been made. It's something I'll continue to call him because I think it's true. I think that is exactly what he is intended to be. All signs point to it. You don't give up this kind of value in a trade for a guy you don't intend to keep around, for a guy you don't view as a franchise cornerstone. And I think that's what Trent McDuffie is for this secondary. I've said it before, but the secondary for the Rams needed to be flipped in a hurry this offseason. And I think they realized that. They got Quentin Lake's extension done during the year. Trent McDuffie trade now in place. Emmanuel Forbes, we'll see where that goes. He's going to play, I think, this year on a contract season. But it's starting to come together in the corner room. I think you're a free agent acquisition and a couple draft picks away from having this room set. And then over the weekend, they made another big decision in the secondary with an extension for Cam Curl. Big deal there as well, with him getting $12 million annual, 3 years, 36. We still don't have guaranteed money on that extension, but as soon as we do, we will have a short out for you guys on how that affects the cap. But again, you're seeing the plan come together here, and I don't think the plan is finished, but McDuffie's extension is clearly a huge part of it. You've seen the Rams now lock up Quentin Lake. They locked up Cam Curl, and now they have McDuffie locked up. I think the next step is locking up a big-name free agent, but McDuffie, in my opinion, is the most important piece of that room. Because he's not just a great football player. He doesn't just bring that to the table. And he is a great football player. He's a 2-time All-Pro selection. 2024 and 2023, he made the All-Pro team. 3-time Pro Bowl selection as well. In 2025, that was one of the more down years of his career on a Chiefs team that struggled, and he was still very solid. 7 pass breakups, a pick, and a forced fumble. 63 tackles, 2 for loss. Loves to come down and hit in the run game. You look at the coverage stats, solid this season. Even again, in one of the worst years of his career, he was still a very solid coverage corner. And you go back to 2024, 2023, you see where he can really be elite. 13 pass breakups, 2 picks, in a year where they come up just short of winning a Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl season, 7 pass breakups and 80 tackles, and he was a first-team All-Pro selection that year. This guy can be the anchor point of a defense, of a championship-level defense. He was that for Kansas City on the back end when they won the Super Bowl in 2023. I really do believe that he can be that for the for the Los Angeles Rams going forward. And not just in 2026. That's why you give him the big money extension, so that it isn't just a 1-year rental. I know we're all in on 2026, but you don't give up what we gave up in that trade for a guy like Trent McDuffie to just keep him around for 1 season. But like I said, I do not think the Rams are done yet at corner. I think there are more additions to be made that we're going to see over the next 24 to 48 hours. Talked about some of these names in the video we had just a few hours ago before this news broke. But I think one of the biggest ones on this list, one of the guys that I would really love to see the Rams go out and get, an elder statesman in the room, you might say, would be Jamel Dean. That'd be my, maybe not number one. I think he's kind of tied for number one with the guy we're going to talk about next. I think they're like 1A, 1B in terms of corner targets for the Rams in free agency, but Jamel Dean would be fantastic. Injury issues for him are for real. You absolutely have to consider that, but I do think that'll bring the price tag down just a little bit because you have to consider that in terms of his negotiation with his agents. But he's a great player when he's available. Allowed just a 47 passer rating into his coverage this season. For reference, that is just 15 higher than dirting it every single play. He would be fantastic as long as he stays healthy. That's the biggest key with him. But him next to Trent McDuffie sounds like a huge recipe for success, as does Jalen Watson next to Trent McDuffie. Didn't work out for the Kansas City Chiefs last season, but I think there's a bunch of other mitigating factors why that happened. It definitely wasn't on these two guys who played very well when they were both on the field and fully healthy, although injuries came up for Watson at the end of the season and for McDuffie as well. Jalen Watson enjoyed a nice breakout year in 2025. He's going to get a nice deal from somebody. I originally thought with the trade of Trent McDuffie that would be Kansas City and that they would get that done over the next couple of days. But we haven't seen that materialize. I thought that took him off the list for the Los Angeles Rams, but it doesn't seem like it maybe has. And maybe that could change over the next couple of hours before we get to Monday or really to Wednesday when everything kind of officializes. But as of right now, Jaylen Watson remains on the list of options for the Rams, someone that they could bring in and talk to once Monday hits at noon and the legal tampering window is open. So an interesting option to consider there. A familiar face from in the division, someone I know a lot of Rams fans would not be thrilled if the Rams took a chance on, but I actually kind of like the idea of Riq Woolen. If the cost was right, if you're looking at maybe like a 1-year prove-it deal, keep up the level of play that we've seen for, or can he really get back to the level of play that we've seen at times from him? Because that really is the thing with Riq Woolen. It's highs and lows in his career and some off the field, or not really off the field, but temper issues. I mean, we saw him almost cost the Seahawks the NFC Championship game in a play that almost really, really benefited us, or it did really benefit us. We just didn't ultimately end up finishing the deal there. But a lot of things to consider with Riq Woolen, but the physical tools are there. He's got everything you need to be a successful corner at this level. Could he be somebody that, like Emmanuel Forbes, the Rams bring in and kind of take a chance on? Montaric Brown, that's another name to consider from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Somebody I don't think gets nearly enough discussion, but played fantastically for Jacksonville in 2025. I think he had 12 pass breakups this year. Big part of why that defense and that team took a big step in the right direction this season overall. In my opinion, any of these options would be really solid adds to this Rams defense alongside Trent McDuffie. If you're asking me who the best ones would be, I would definitely tell you it's Jamel Dean or Jaylen Watson, with Montaric Brown as a close fallback. And then lastly, you get to Riq Woolen. But I think all four of these corners, I would be happy to see the Rams sign them. I'm not going to complain if you get any one of the four of these guys. But grade the extension for Trent McDuffie for me. I want you to give it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. A, if you think it is a massive home run win for the Rams. F, if you think it is the worst deal that has ever been put pen to paper on, which I don't think you could say that, to be honest with you guys. If I had to grade it, I would give it a solid A-, in my opinion. I think the Rams did a lot right with this deal. Like we talked about, you lock up a piece that you traded a lot of capital for the long term, a piece that I think can be huge for this defense for just maybe a hair more than you absolutely had to. And that's, again, not the biggest deal in the world. But obviously, like we talked about off the top, massive news for the Rams today. Huge win for the Rams today, in my opinion, extending Trent McDuffie on a deal that makes him the highest paid corner in NFL history. As always, we cover everything around the Los Angeles Rams here, and there is a lot of news coming around the way with free agency. So make sure you are subscribed to the Rams Report by Chad Sports so you don't miss a thing around that. And as always, let's go Rams. We'll see you in the next one.